This is Cromar with TGN, welcoming you to another World of Warcraft Cataclysm beta video. This is part 9 of our 22-part series, DPS Rundown, and today we're looking at the Unholy Death Knight. So first of all, let's take a look at the talents. Most of these talents are pretty obvious. Obviously, you're going to want Unholy Frenzy, and you're going to want Contagion, Epidemic, and you're going to want your Ghoul talents, Improved Home, all this good stuff. Now, but there are a couple of ones I want to go over here. You do have to put one extra point just to drop down to this level. I put that in Desecration, but you can put that at anything, it doesn't matter. Now once you reach 31 points, you can put your other talents in Blood and Frost, but there's not a lot of good talents here. There's really only two that I would consider. Runic Power Mastery just gives you a little extra leeway in case you accidentally fill up your Runic Power, but that doesn't happen very often as Unholy. You spend a lot of time spamming Death Coil, so this isn't really that necessary. Bladed Armor, this is a really good one, obviously. It gives you free attack power, so this is a no-brainer. Butchery gives you free Runic Power. Now, the next one I got is Scarlet Fever. This essentially is for in case your raid doesn't have Demo Shout, but it forces you to waste Blood Runes on Scarlet Fever, which is really not on Blood Boil rather, which is really not something you want to do. So for a raid, I would actually probably take this out. There's almost no chance you're going to need this for a raid. Somebody will have that debuff. And there is one more talent in Unholy that's worth getting. It doesn't affect your DPS, so it doesn't affect it on a dummy test, so I didn't bother with it. But if you're going to a raid, I would definitely recommend taking Magic Suppression, because Anti-Magic Shell is very important. It'll keep you alive through a lot of tough parts. And of course, it gives you some free Runic Power, so why not? And then Anti-Magic Zone is a little bit less useful, but hey, you never know. It may be a lifesaver. It may save a healer sometime. So it's certainly worth taking a look at. It's just too bad it wasted an Unholy Rune to cast it. Okay, let's take a look at Glyphs. Glyphs are real easy to figure out. Scourge Strike, that's obvious. Increases Scourge Strike, blah, blah, blah. Death Coil increases Death Coil damage. And Glyph of Raised Dead buffs your Ghoul significantly, which is something you need big time. There's really nothing else to take in this in Prime Glyphs. I mean, extra duration on Death and Decay, I guess. There's nothing else, really. For major glyphs, I did take Glyph of Pestilence and Blood Boil just to increase the radius of the AoE abilities, but, that's really not that important at all. But there's really nothing else to take in major glyphs, so that's just what I took. You might be a little bit better off with Anti-Magic Shell. That's not bad. It's something to consider. Alright, so let's talk about a rotation. Obviously, you want to be on Unholy spec, and you want to get your Ghoul out since it is permanent, and keep it around for the whole fight. You want to open up with Outbreak just to get your Plagues on there right away, and then you want to start spending your runes. You just want to drop a Festering Strike and then a Scourge Strike to use up your first runes. Spend your Runic Power on Death Coil right away, and then get back to work on spending those runes. And you are going to have some times when you actually run out of runes and run out of Runic Power and have to sit there and wait. Open up with Outbreak, run in, hit a Festering, Scourge, Festering. Now I've used up the runes, some Death Coils. My Death runes are up, so I'm going to start spamming Scourge Strike like crazy to use up all these extra runes I have. Now I have tons of extra Runic Power, so I'm going to blow through that really fast. Festering. And pretty soon here my Ghoul is going to get Dark Transformation. The UI is going to pop up automatically and tell me that. This is a very simple rotation. Oh, there we go. There's Dark Transformation. But as I was saying, this is a very simple rotation of hitting Scourge Strike whenever it's up and Death Coil whenever it's up. And whenever neither of them are up, you're going to hit your Festering Strike. Now, my Ebon Plaguebringer is about to run out, but it's just in time. My Outbreak is up, so I'm going to hit Outbreak. Okay, now my two primary abilities are not up, but Festering is, so I'm going to hit Festering twice to use up those extra runes. Pretty much anytime you have a Blood and a Frost sitting, then you want to go ahead and hit a Festering just to use them up and turn them into Death runes. So as you see, this rotation is extremely simple. Okay, I have a Blood and a Frost up, so I'm going to hit Festering. Use another Horn of Winter. And of course, if you can work an Unholy Frenzy in there, you want to do that too. I'm just not gonna waste the cooldown until I do the real test here in a second. Okay. Well, my DPS was pretty outstanding here, and I didn't even do it right. I was spending more time talking than actually pressing buttons, so I'm just going to wait for these debuffs to drop off. Actually, I need to spend my death runes also. And then I will reset. Come back, ghoul. Clear out my recount and get ready for the real test. Alright, it is time for results. Now, the recount currently says 8,800, but it was actually over 9k when I stopped attacking. So that is astounding how much damage it did. And Mud Smasher, my loyal ghoul there, did 36% of that damage actually. So that's pretty crazy. So let's see the breakdown. Out of my personal DPS, Scourge Strike made up about 28%. That's not a big surprise. Plus Scourge Strike Shadow, 12%. So about 40% of my damage came from that one ability, which you just spam constantly. Festering Strike may have only done 10% of damage, but the fact that it kept my plagues going for a long time, and it also contributed to creating lots and lots of death runes, is why it's so powerful. My crit rate, by the way, is absolutely abysmal. You think that Blood Plague and Frost Fever would do more damage than they do, but they're actually pretty weak. The main reason they exist is to buff your Scourge Strike. To be honest, that's really what it is. And Unholy Blight, I don't know what's up with his talent. I know it's only one talent point, it's passive, so there's really no high expectations of it, but only 1.7 DPS for Unholy. You think that your damage would be a little more dependent on plagues, but no, it's all Scourge Strike. So yeah, that's some scary DPS. This is the best result I've got from any dummy test with any class and any spec. I've also done some frost tests, and they did worse than this, although they did very good too. But we'll be seeing that in the next video. Yeah, so again, I want to reiterate that you probably want to move your points from Scarlet Fever into Anti-Magic Suppression, and you might even be able to move some other points, like you might even be able to move Desecration, I think, and some other points into Magic Suppression. That would be a little more useful for raids, although it wouldn't actually increase your dummy DPS, so I didn't bother with it here. Well, that's it for the Unholy Death Knight. Thanks for watching. As always, please rate, please comment, and please subscribe.